So welcome to the little bike race tutorial, Adelaide Tour 2015. So one of the first things of bike racing, first rule is you have to be willing to crash. Pretty much, man. If you want to be a good bike rider, you got to stay with the bunch. It's not like running. Bike riding, you got to stay with the bunch. You got to stay with the main pack, and that involves crashes. Every race, or almost every race, is going to involve some sort of crash of some sort, even at professional level. Dog might come out in the course. Someone's not paying attention. Someone took too many painkillers and they're a bit vague on the bike. They're running out of sugars. They're just getting all sloppy on the bike or whatever, or they're scared. Or crashes are part of the deal. So you can see this race here, the guys are hitting high speed, hitting a roundabout. Some are going around the roundabout, some are jumping over it. So you want to have some bike skill. You want to, ride around an oval with your mate, bash into each other, shoulder each other on the grass, wear your helmet and stuff like that. Get used to touching people with your elbows, elbow on elbow, shoulder on shoulder. Get used to jostling around, because the first time that happens in a bunch and you're doing 60k an hour, if you've never had that experience before, it can get pretty messy pretty quick. So you can ride around an oval with your mates and just be in a bunch and just sort of overlap wheels, lean on each other's shoulders, and if you have a crash, you end up on the grass anyway, and your carbon fibre bike might not snap in half. But racing, the first rule of racing is you have to be willing to break your legs, basically. Like you might not be able to appreciate the skill required, but to go into this roundabout, they're probably doing 50, 60, 70k an hour at some point in the race. And to go into the roundabout with that sort of nerve, that's a pretty big skill. It might look easy, but and you got fatigue. These guys have been racing for 4 or 5 days, 4 or 5 stages, so a lot of fatigue there, accumulated fatigue. Even no matter how fit you are, that fatigue does that up. So it's just it's the hardest sport on the planet. Cycling is the hardest sport on the planet, the most dangerous sport on the planet as well, because these guys are just wearing like a millimetre of lycra and maybe a 200-gram little helmet. So shit gets real pretty quick in bike racing, for not much reward really. So you got to be extremely fit. You got to be extremely fearless to get anywhere. And another tip would be hydration. I think you've watched enough of my videos about hydration or carbohydrate intake. High carb for sure. This is what is fueled your muscles, is water and sugars. So you're going to make sure you're eating at least 10 grams of carbs per kilo body weight per day, 10 grams of carbs per kilo body weight per day. So if you're a 60, 70 kilo rider, that's like 600-700 grams of carbohydrates per day. And whatever foods you would like to eat, rice, pasta, fruits, sugars, and make sure it's low fat. The more oil you eat, the less glycogen your body can really store, because the fat in the oil covers the insulin receptor sites and makes it hard for you to really absorb that glycogen. So less fat and protein will mean you have more glycogen retention, and you also have better oxygen uptake, transfer and delivery to your cells. We know that high fat diets inhibit red blood cell function, and cycling, the power comes from your blood. Even if you're a weightlifter, the power comes from your blood. That's why if you take out some blood, donate blood or whatever, and then you go and try and ride 300 or 400 watts, you simply can't. That's why some professional riders in history have been, when swimmers and rowers and runners, they take blood out and then they put it back in their body a week later for a competition, or 2 weeks later or a month later down the track, because the more blood you have, the faster you can go relative to yourself. So you want to look after your blood. Maybe do some B12 injections, keep your B12 levels high regardless of your diet. So water, sugar, carbohydrates, get used to crashing. What else can we cover? Positioning is vital. I know some guys, myself included, we're not too bad on the bike, but I don't really have the nerve anymore to really mix it up in the corners. I'm not willing to break my legs for a bike race anymore, so that means that I'll be sitting in the back of the pack or off the side or whatever, or maybe in a breakaway up the front, because I'm not really willing to really mix it up when it gets hot in the corners. And that means you will lose a lot of positions on the bike. You will be getting sort of pushed off the back, where the acceleration is a lot more extreme. Here was a young lad had a crash, and you can see that there. So it's pretty scary, man. He crashed at pretty high speed, so it was pretty it's not exactly fun. But hey, you got to be. That's what I mean. To be a good bike racer, you got to be willing to be like that guy on the ground just saying. You got to be willing to crash and break some bones. There's not many bike riders that haven't broken some bones or have got scarring on their knees or elbows. My hips, knees, and elbows are full of scars from crashing. Teeth as well, knocking teeth out, chipped teeth, cracked teeth. So you got that's the nature of the sport. If you're not prepared for that, then you go take up golf or something else, knitting or basketball. Go take up basketball. That's a pretty safe sport. Here we have the women's race, and same thing, same rules apply. Carbohydrates, water, positioning, mentality. You got to have desire on the bike to really get up there, get amongst it. So the sport's definitely growing in women. Recreationally, cycling is booming. Racing, I think it's definitely increasing a bit, but the recreational side, the weight loss side, the weight loss benefits, and now with the websites like Strava, where you can have your own little racing. Well, that's what I do. People say, I haven't raced a full season on the bike since 2003 when I raced in Belgium. So I haven't raced a full season since then. I just go out with my mates, hammer up the hills, or just go out in Strava and find a Strava segment and just try and get the gold cup on the Strava segment or whatever. And that's really cool. I'm actually fitter now at age 38 than when I was 20-odd, living and racing in Belgium full time, just because of Strava and power meters. So that's my little tips there. Leave more comments and questions down below. See you next video.